Do what it do. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the channel at Tay Luciano Media. That's Tay Luciano Media, you feel me? This video right here, man, is about an NBA superstar. Some will even say an NBA legend. He definitely made his mark in the NBA, you know what I'm saying? And I can even remember watching him play in the early 2000s, you know what I'm saying? I was much younger, of course, but I've always been an NBA fan, you know what I'm saying? An NBA junkie, so to speak, even as a kid growing up, you know what I mean? Like, back then, I was probably more into the NBA than I am now, you know what I'm saying? I'm more kind of tuned in with the NFL more so now, but that's a whole nother topic. But, man, R.I.P., man. R.I.P. to Rodney Rogers, NBA legend, passed away at the age of 54. He passed away, I believe, on the 21st or the 22nd, because I'm looking at this article. It was published the 22nd of this month, so that was just a few days ago, right? But he passed away from natural causes, right? And not to read everything, but he has suffered from a spinal cord injury in 2008. And I kind of remember that, you know what I'm saying? At the time, I kind of remember that. I was probably like, at the time I was like 19, 20 at the time when that happened. So I kind of remember it, but you know, a lot of things wasn't on the internet. The social media hadn't even blew up or took over like that. You know what I mean? People would still ride around with CDs in their car. So, you know, 2008, things were still kind of, you could say, still kind of normal, even in '08, right? The hell is that? So he passed away from a spinal cord injury that he had a dirt bike accident back in November of 2008. So he had suffered from and I kind of remember that brief, you know, a little piece of that, kind of hearing about that. It probably would have been a bigger story, a bigger headline if social media at that time was bigger. But like I said, this is 2008 versus now. I'm quite sure it would have been way bigger at that time. I don't even think TMZ was even around then. But nevertheless, he suffered from a spinal cord injury, and he was paralyzed from the shoulders down. You feel me? He was paralyzed from the shoulders down. And, he played, and he played with a couple of teams. He played with a few teams: Denver Nuggets, LA Clippers, Phoenix Suns, Boston Celtics, New Jersey Nets, New Orleans Saints, and the 76ers. You know what I mean? He was somebody that, he was drafted in 93. Yeah, he was drafted in 93. You know what I mean? And, you know, I feel like if he hadn't suffered from that spinal cord injury, I could have seen him doing something way more greater than being an NBA player at the time he was. You know what I'm saying? I could have definitely seen him doing a commentator, something like that. Even being a head coach, because it's just something, he definitely had that quality about himself. He definitely had that quality. And I can even remember seeing him on a few interviews and stuff like that. I can remember people were saying how nice of a person he was, you know, a good-hearted person he definitely truly was. So I could have, I think if that wouldn't have happened, you know, him suffering from that injury that took place, that dirt bike accident, you know, I could definitely see him doing something around the NBA. And I could probably most likely being a coach, because he just had that, like some people just got that coaching spirit, that coaching quality about himself. So when I heard that he passed, it was like, dang, you know what I mean? But I never heard his name in no slander. I never heard another NBA player or ex-NBA player say anything bad about him. He always put his best foot forward. You know what I'm saying? Now, when he got drafted, I was real young. You know what I'm saying? I was a kid. I was a shorty at the time. You feel me? So I really didn't get a whole lot. I didn't get a lot. What should I say? I didn't see him play a whole lot. My bad. I didn't see him play a whole lot because when he got drafted, his rookie year was 91. You know what I'm saying? So at the time, was a kid. So that was more of my bro. He came in the league more of my. Oh, I have an older brother, so that was what been his era. You know what I'm saying? I got an older brother. He graduated in, 94? So that was more of his era. But I did get the chance to see him play in the early 2000s because he was lead sixth man of the year in the 2000s, the year of 2000. So, like I said, he played with several teams, and the teams that he played with at that time, all of those teams that he played with was dominant teams. Especially Boston Celtics was phenomenal at that time. 76ers, the Clippers, the Hornets. Even though the Hornets at that time was going crazy in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I can remember this vividly because I'm always an NBA fan. Like I said, I have an older brother, so we used to kind of converse a lot about sports. I can remember my brother I can remember my brother even giving me some old NBA hoop cards that I even still have to this day. You know what I'm saying? But the good thing about it, you know, I think he was definitely a good person, maybe even a great person on and off the court. And, you know, he left a hell of a mark in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? He left a hell of a mark in the NBA, hands down. Like I said, I never heard no ill will, nothing speak bad about him, and none of that. I'm not sure. It don't. In the article that I'm looking at, which was posted by ESPN, I'm not sure if he had kids or not, because it doesn't say he left any kids behind or nothing like that. And he even got the chance to play against like people like Jermaine O'Neal. That everybody know who Jermaine O'Neal is. Indiana Pacers. That's the guy that was playing with them back when Detroit Pistons had that big brawl, and Ron Artest and all of those guys. So he played for, I would say, like 2 decades, 3 decades and a half. And he was a good player, man. You know, like I said, he definitely made his mark, definitely played with some dominant teams at that point in time. It's just very sad and unfortunate that happened to him. You know what I mean? From that dirt bike injury that he suffered from in 2008. And ever since then, he was, you know, paralyzed from the shoulders down. Like I said, if social media was around at that point in time, then the story would have been way bigger. A lot more people would have been talking about it and everything like that. I think a reason why a lot of people hasn't touched bases on it is because they might not per se know who he was. Even in the early 2000s, he was even in the early 2000s, you had a lot of people that was very young still. You know, people. So say for instance, like somebody like, who's the hot artist right now? Say like a Blueface, right? You know, even at that time when he was the lead sixth man of the year in the year of 2000, you had a lot of dudes that was real young. You know, some dudes wasn't even born then. You know what I'm saying? So I have a son, and he wasn't even born until 2007, so he wouldn't even know who he is. So that's why I think a lot of people hasn't touched bases on it so much like that. You know what I'm saying? Because he, you know, a lot of people wouldn't know who he is versus like a Michael Jordan or a Shaquille O'Neal or Kobe Bryant. So, you know, because those players right there is mega stars. You know, when you hear those names, Kobe Bryant, long live Kobe Bryant as well, but Kobe Bryant or Jordan or Shaq or, you know, even Larry Bird or, you know, LeBron James. Those are mega NBA stars. So you have to like really, it's almost like with certain artists, you have to be really tapped into the music to know certain artists. That's how it is, or that's how, even to this day, but that's how it was even back then. Especially now, you have to be super tapped in. So, man, RIP to Rodney Rogers, passed away at the age of 54. You know what I'm saying? His legacy would definitely live on. It's just sad and unfortunate that he suffered from that dirt bike injury back in 2008, which left him paralyzed from the shoulders down. But like, share, and subscribe to the channel at Tay Luciano Media. I'm out.